It took me just 4 months to make my first million in sales. And in just 22 months, I've built a brand that has over 24 employees. We have a community of over 500,000 and pretty much blown away our industry. And no, it's not because I'm special. It's because of this one framework. This framework is not new. In fact, it's how I believe Steve Jobs built what he did with Apple. It's what I believe Mpumile Dwaba is doing with wisdom and wellness. It's a concept that is not new, just maybe unknown to most. And by the end of this video, you'll have a framework that even you can apply to achieve the same results. Now, the concept that I'm talking about here is one that I am calling the Steward of Influence path. Before I tell you what this is, let me first give you context. Things have changed. Once upon a time, people used to buy things because they needed them. Now people buy things because they want them. People are now buying emotionally. In fact, we're moving into an era where a transaction is no longer just a transaction, but it's actually a trade in trust. This is why big brands will spend millions for a brand ambassador. What they're paying for is for a face. What they're paying for is for a person, someone who other people can actually relate to, because again, people buy into other people. Now, see, a steward of influence is someone who is able to build and gain that relationship and trust with people. It's someone who has a message, a purpose, and they gain influence. And that influence can be established into an ecosystem of financial wealth. I made an example before with Steve Jobs and Apple, and he's just one of them. I think we have now come into the day and age where the person behind the brand has now become bigger than the brand itself. And you see this all the time. It's why Elon Musk has more followers than NASA or any of the other big brands that he represents. In fact, it's why anything that Elon Musk will ever launch will probably blow up and succeed simply because it has his name attached to it. People understand who he is. People have bought into his message, and he has the influence and the power to monetize any venture that he goes into. This is literally the future. Should I say it's the future? It's the present. It's not even the future. This is exactly how people who are actually making real, prominent money. And I'm not talking about quick money. I'm talking about the kind of money that almost feels like it's being printed out. People who establish businesses that are legacies. People who establish businesses that people trust, and literally there is no competition. When there's a steward of influence leading a brand, nobody can compete with them. It doesn't matter if somebody else goes and replicates the same thing, as long as they don't have a powerful steward of influence, as long as there isn't someone who has a connection to people, someone who hasn't bought a trust with other people, it just won't work as well. So this is exactly how I believe I built my brand, Dorthema. A lot of people don't know this, but before I started Dorthema, I actually read this really amazing book. And in it, I learned the importance of creating content. Not just creating content, but building an audience, right? I think I spent about an entire year building my own personal Instagram page, right? And a lot of people thought that I was just sharing beautiful clothes of my outfits. But what I was doing at the time is that I was sharing modest outfits that I was wearing at the time, and I started wearing head wraps a lot. So a lot of the outfits were me showing tutorials of how to wear head wraps, me in my modest clothing. And eventually, when I got the idea to start Dorthema, which started at the time as just a head wrap business, I was going to be a business that specialized in head wraps. I had gained this audience. I already had this very existing audience that I had spent an entire year building, of people who already loved modest fashion and who were already interested in head wraps because I had pre-exposed it to them. So essentially what I did is that I became a steward of influence before I then established my business. And this is what we're talking about today, how you can begin your steward of influence path. Because like I said, it's a framework that even you can follow. Now, see, it goes in 3 steps. First, you're going to embody. And embody is simply 2 steps. First, you learn it, and then you live it. in order for you to embody something, right, you first have to learn as much as you can about it. You need to understand it. You need to sort of become like an expert in it. And I'll keep using myself as a framework, right? I embodied the concept of head wraps, right? Let me not even make this all about business. I think let me speak honestly and openly and say that this is actually, it can only work. It usually works if it's something that you already have some kind of interest or knowledge in. And if you do, I wouldn't advise you going into something simply because you think it will make you a lot of money without having any interest or even, pre-exposure or unfair advantage in that thing. It works so well if this is something that you already have an unfair advantage in. And if you do just want to go into something that you're currently clueless about, then you're going to need to spend a lot of time in this learn it part of it, right? Here, you sort of become the expert, right? With myself and head wraps, I knew everything there was to be known under the sun about head wraps. I would watch tutorials about it all the time. I would do research. Like, I was just literally obsessed with it. And I was so good at tying a toque. And I even understood the issues that people had with head wraps. I took my time to really research and understand even the history. I even went and did the research, even the history about head wraps, right? And if you see me, especially if I'm doing something like a speaking engagement or going out in public where I'm going to be seen, 90% of the time, I will wear my own brand. In fact, like naturally, like I wear the things that I sell. I live the things that I preach, right? You cannot say to people, there was no way that I could have gone out to tell people that I sell head wraps, buy this head wrap or sell you this philosophy of head wraps if I myself do not wear head wraps. Like when I tell you I wore head wraps all the time. I was in varsity at the time. I swear to God, you guys, I was not making it up in my mind. But by the end of the year when I graduated, it's almost as if like my entire class was wearing head wraps. I believe I influenced them because I was wearing head wraps almost every single day. And I wasn't just wearing them, but like I was wearing them very boldly and stylishly. Like it became my signature look. I literally embodied it. I spent my time learning it and then I lived it out. And the next step is to express, right? In order for you to actually gain the influence aspect of things, you need to actually gain an audience. You need to express. There is no point you knowing something if nobody knows that you know. Okay? This is when you now have to get to the point where you publish, right? And no, you don't need to wait until you have a business. In fact, you don't even have to wait until you have clarity. Just get into the habit of sharing with people what you know. And if you have actually taken the time to figure out what it is that your message is or what it is that your unfair advantage is, what you then do is that everything you learn, you just share. You just publish and you share. You learn out loud. Anything that you're researching on, something that you're finding out, you figure it out, just publish it on social media. This is where you open up that Instagram account, open up that TikTok account. I think gone are the days when people wanted like to see super polished, clean, professional content. This is why a lot of people are loving TikTok right now because it's so authentic and raw. You can literally just whip up your phone and start creating. And like, that's what people love. That's what people want to see. And this part is so, so important because you will never, ever get to the influence part unless you gain an audience. And you will not gain an audience if you're not sharing anything, right? With myself, I was sharing galleries with me almost every single day on my Instagram and on my TikTok page. I would share outfits, I would share head wraps tutorials. And in this express part, like I challenge you to actually like share something that is valuable and useful to other people. Don't just share for the sake of sharing, but try to think, okay, what is it that I can share? What is it that I can publish that someone else will be interested in? Because don't forget, when someone is on the internet, or actually, not even the internet, guys. When anybody who's doing anything, they want to get something from them. No one will just watch the thing because they like you, especially in the beginning. Nobody knows you, right? So you need to actually be sharing something valuable, something that they can take away. For me, it was tutorials. I shared head wraps tutorials. I shared styling tips. So people would save my videos. They would follow me in order to see more ways to have, like, in order to get ideas to have like modest, simple outfits, that follow me because even they wanted to replicate the head wraps that you're doing. So literally spend your time in this. And this is so important when it comes to expressing yourself and publishing. It's quantity over quality. But with content, your first few content are going to be terrible. Even if you spend months of preparing, like, it's never going to be the best. This setup, this video is my first of this kind. This is my first time publishing something like this. And as much as we've put in so much time and work to try to make it perfect, best believe that like a few months down the line, we'll look at this and be like, oh my gosh, this looks so terrible, because we would have gotten to a point where we have upgraded and leveled up so much. Because it's the only way. The only way you get better with content is through practice, through actually doing it. So don't even overthink it. Just start sharing, start publishing. If you're one of those people with the ghost Instagram account, the ghost TikTok accounts where you're just watching other people, I dare you, just start posting. Like, set up a commitment to post at least 3 times a week. You should be doing it daily because, quite frankly, if you're still broke, then you are too broke to be invisible. I genuinely believe that. And then once you have embodied and you have expressed, right, you would have gotten to a point where you have built a bit of an audience, right? Like, you've embodied this thing. Like, I have embodied head wraps, right? I speak about them all the time. I wear them all the time. Like, when people see me, they associate head wraps with me already because it's something that I'm living. It's something that I know, I understand, and I know it, and I'm expressing, right? I am publicly sharing content of myself in head wraps. I'm speaking about head wraps. I'm sharing the knowledge that I know about head wraps. Now, once you have these two things, once you've embodied something, right, and you have expressed about it, right, there's an opportunity to now establish, right? This is where you monetize. This is where you come up with an actual business, right? Now, a lot of people skip to the established part before going through these steps, which is why they struggle. Like, that's where you find someone will say, oh my God, I have this amazing business idea. I have this amazing product, but how do I get it to sell? How do you get customers? How do I, all of these things, because you haven't gone through the first few steps. And when it comes to establishing, and this is something that we will be talking about in the next 2 episodes, because this is part of a 3-part series, right? And in the next 2 coming episodes, we're going to be diving deep into the established part, to the part speaking about exactly how you build a business. We're going to speak about exactly how to even start. And in fact, and this is my own shameless plug, I swear to you, by the end of this 3-part series, I will have even given you the step-by-step on how you can start your business in just 1 week. Because that's the plan. I genuinely believe that this framework is something that you can start implementing today, right now, and you'll start seeing results in a matter of months. And if you do that before you get to the establishing part of your business, I promise you there is absolutely no way anything you do will fail.